It is here. I just picked it up from Gideon's place. The Ultimate 64 Elite. Wow. I'm very curious, so let's have a look. Motherfucker! As you can see, Gideon's Logic Architectures. And there it is. There was some extra bubble wrap around it, but I already took it off. So this is the user port extension that I bought, because remember that I have all these user port things with the laser LEDs. And there it is. Ooh, wow, not one, but two badges. Oh, I like this one, the old 64. That is cool. That is really, really cool. And look at this. That is the board. So here we have the FPGA board in a SIM socket. Now Gideon sent out an email that they are not screwed in because this first batch they accidentally beveled the edge connector. So if you screw it in, it could actually disconnect a little. But we will see if I need to reseat it. But I don't think we need to actually screw this together. It's nice the way that it sits. We have the classic two SID SIV sockets, your cartridge port. Yes, there is the Wi-Fi module. And then we of course have the HDMI, because it's HDMI out. The Ethernet, two USBs. Is there an internal USB? Yes. That should be this one. And I can put a little thumb drive in here. Oh, actually, there are SD cards in there. Can we put stuff on SD cards these days? That would be cool. I never actually had the Ultimate 64. And finally the rocker switch. That is cool. I liked it. But I never had the Ultimate 64. When I wanted to order it, it was completely sold out. So as soon as there was this one in development, I put in my order immediately. So yeah, this looks really, really nice. It is the size of a shortboard, right? C64C shortboard. It's kind of cool. This one is interesting. If you put your thumb drive in there, so you need a small one. And you put this over there, which you need to actually for this keyboard, in this case, then you wouldn't be able to get to it. So let me get it now and insert it. So let's see if this, in combination with that, will actually fit. Looks good. This will fit nicely over it. Okay. Now let's grind off this little knob in. Actually, I think I can actually bend it, because it would actually be intended to fit over, but it's just not tall enough. It's actually this little nubbin that is right on the joystick port. And then, yeah, you don't get it flush. So that is the issue. I need to grind this down. That is a bit more tedious because it's considerably more metal. But yeah, it's not the fault of Gideon, because this is the place where the joystick ports are. We cannot help that these just have a lower profile, because this one fits nicely in there, as you can see. But those aren't made anymore, and this one does not. So let me take some pliers to it. So I remove this and that knobbin and see if that now fits. Yes, that fits perfectly. Cool. But it fits nicely over here. At least you can easily put it on there on your C64 and debug. So let's get the SID out of this one and put it in this one. I'm only going to run one SID. I was just wondering, what is the orientation of the SID? Because usually it goes like this, but here it says 8550 and the 6501 needs to go with the notch up. So it goes here. I remember in the 90s I built an EEPROM programmer and I bought a ZIF socket and it was like $100 back then. It was insane. So that is in there. These are sitting nice. I will put the other screws in and then we'll fire it up. I wonder where the power LED goes. I see a LED strip here, but got the power LED and it is indeed this pin block. The bottom pin remains open. The top one is the plus 5 volt. The one below, that is the ground. Oh, and of course, if you do it like that, the wires on the Commodore are too short because it's too far over here. Usually it's over there. So it would have been nice if that was actually mounted somewhere over here, but it isn't, so I need to elongate these wires. I put my USB stick in the back and it still doesn't see it. What is happening? This is the flash memory. Suddenly it doesn't see my media anymore. Everything is on that USB stick. Why doesn't it read it? Why doesn't it read any of them anymore? It doesn't see them. So for clarity, what had happened is that my USB stick wasn't read anymore for some miraculous reason. So I installed everything later on using the SD card. And then the next morning, much to my amazement, after I had updated the system and I figured it was the update that fixed it, my USB worked. Only to find out today that it still didn't work. It had an intermittent flaw. So I will investigate here what is going on. So I'm actually checking whether these USBs deliver power, because usually this one gets a little bit warm. It's completely cold. I put this one in and that also didn't work, so I'm confused and the plot thickens. Because the outer two pins should be plus VCC and ground. They are shorted. That is weird, right? If that is the case, then this thing doesn't get any power. And obviously it doesn't work. So I remove it. Because I know it works, I just tested it. There is a dead short there. Let's power it off. That is not normal. There shouldn't be a short in. Took it out of the case just in case. It was some of the screws or something, or that little metal thing, but no. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely a short. Which is weird, because the rest of the electronics is working. The SID is working. Well, this will void my warranty, but yeah, it was either one of these. I noticed that one of those pins were a bit bent and touching the chassis, and the other one I saw 4 pins. And this one went in a little bit difficult, I have to say. I don't know why, because it's... Well, maybe that has bent the pins. So I sold it in 2 new ones. I luckily had spares. These are white. They're not beautiful black, but hey. And look at that. On the screen, we have USB 0. And USB 1 is also working, and USB 2 is also working. So what had happened was the VCC pin came detached from the connector substrate. And I think it's because of this SanDisk thumb drive, because that always fits rather snugly. So when you push it in, it would actually bend up that VCC pin and just touch the chassis. Which also explains the intermittentness, that if you pull it out and you put it back in and the pin happened to drop a little, that there is no short and it worked again. I figured that the USB issue was solved by the firmware update that I will show later on in this video, but Gideon got back to me, I'm not that reassured about your USB not reading, because I did not change anything in the USB. And I think that now we found the root cause. I did not call Gideon. He said, if there's anything, just let me know. I'm not really that reassured about it. I took the executive decision to void my warranty and just exchange these two connectors myself. I am even capable of doing that. So for some reason, the USB sticks aren't being read anymore on all 3 ports. I don't know what is going on. But I put the ROMs on an SD drive, see if that works. There we go. Kernel. Set as kernel ROM. Set as car ROM. And this is set as basic ROM. This is basic. Okay, and then select ROM files and press enter, choose it. Reboot and have fun. Going down, there we go. Woohoo! Now what you need to do is install the latest firmware. It is an ongoing development currently. It is stable to my experience, but I had this issue that my KCS cartridge didn't load, and Gideon came back to me that same evening. Try installing 3.12-34 from the GitHub Actions page. So let me show you how to do this, because I tripped up a little. Yeah, by now it was 2 AM almost, so so Actions, and then in my case it was on the UEE2 FPGA update, but yours could be one of the ones above, and you download the update package. You then extract these onto your thumb drive, put the thumb drive into the UE2, and then you select the update UE2. I selected U64, it didn't load, and I was like, is it because I'm running this from the SD card? Do I need to run it from the USB? No, it runs also from the SD card, because John told me you have to select the UE2. I was facepalming because, yeah, it was very late by then, and I figured Ultimate 64. So U64, but it is of course the Ultimate 64 Elite 2. So thank you, John Vidal, for your support, and it's working like a charm. It's a beautiful machine. So let's load a game, and we use the KCS speed loader. So let me turn it off and on. You hold the switch down for 4 seconds, that's off. Toggle it on. I have the KCS. Toggle up. I go into the menu, Ghostbusters, and I do not run it, but I mount it. That way I get the benefit here of the speed loader. I press F5. Run. This will be flashy. It will flash a lot. So unpacking. And there is a little faux stereo, because the HDMI is a little bit delayed, I think. So you have the internal speaker and the HDMI. Turn off the HDMI. This is solely from the mainboard, and I turned it down because it's really, really loud. Right? It's kind of cool. F1. So yeah, that works nicely. And then I go up and I press F5, F6, go to assembly, and let's look for Commando. Subcategory. One load games. Is that perhaps working? Commando PRG. Let's see what happens. This is PRG, so you can run it instantly. Look. So yeah, it's working really, really nicely. And like I said, the internal speaker is loud. So I may turn it even down even further. And this is now running 60 Hertz, which is something for us Europeans that is uncanny. It's so fast. It makes it smoother though. Ethernet, storage, speaker volume. Obviously not here. There. So this is the NTSC mode. I can move it to PAL mode. And you will see that it will actually be a lot slower. From the assembly. So, Commando. That was the subcategory. One load game 64. So let's run it, and now you will see it will be slower. And the music will be more to our ears as this is how we remember it. But it feels so different playing 60 over. The feature I like the most is if you're in a game and your joystick doesn't work, like it's all, you don't need to fiddle around. You can just toggle the switch up. In here you hold Commodore J, and it will actually, there you go, it will then switch it, and it's now on the other joystick. And we can actually demonstrate this because I once wrote a joystick tester with bigger buttons for Adrian. I think it's this one. There we go. Yeah. So you can see the joystick tester that I made, and this is joystick 2. I will toggle up J, and now it should be joystick 1. There you go, see? It's the same joystick. Yeah, it is a very versatile machine. The Ultimate 2 is already a great cartridge, which allows you to do all those things except for swap the joystick, but it will simulate the cards. I just have one thing that I wanted to check. Yes, that test. One card. What is it doing, the dead test? Will it actually see this as 0 page OK stack? Screen. I think it works. I think it will simulate completely correctly. Because this is a great test, right? If the hardware simulates correctly, then that is the first step. Yeah, works. Yeah. So, complete success with the dead test. That is cool. You have your super snapshot, so Robin is also happy. But I'm the KCS man. I love the KCS. And actually you can set this as a default if you copy it to flash. And then we can go to flash here. You will see cards. And this will then be run at default. So if I power it off, so I hold down the button for 4 seconds. Right. Switch it back on. And it should now immediately show the case. Yes, there we go. So it auto boots it when you copy it into the flash. So yeah, this is it. It's really cool. So there you have it. The Commodore Ultimate 64 ELITEII, that's a whole mouthful, with Wolfgang Gierdorf's great mechanical keyboard, is now finally here. With the user port extension that also works like a charm. Now a lot of you may wonder, is it worth the 219 euros that you pay for this compared to the 145 for the Ultimate 2 Plus? Well, like everything with IT, it really depends. When you're a developer and you want the ease of use, then I would suggest buy the Ultimate 64 UE2. If you're just into play some games on original hardware, go for the cheaper option, or you can even go for what is called again the SD2IC, I believe, even cheaper than this. This is cycle accurate and it runs cartridge simulations. That is the extra benefit that you get. Yeah, and this is basically this contained in a whole box with that convenient joystick swap and debug streaming, a stereo sit, which this can also do by the way, but it's simulated. Yeah, for me it's worth the 219 euros. I mean, I love this thing, but this takes it to that next level. And Gideon, thank you very much for your great support. John, thank you for thinking for me at 2 a.m. Like, it is the UE2, buddy. It's the UE2. You don't have the U64. You have the UE2. So thank you very much, guys, for your great support. Now, you may wonder that USB issue that I had. That is not a production fault. I seriously think it is this USB stick. And why do I think that? It's hard to see, but yeah, it is just a bit too tall. So you see these notches that are pushed in there. I always had a bit of a trouble pushing this one in. That's what she said. So I think that was because of this thing. Now luckily it works on this one. So yeah, I am really happy with this machine. It is an absolute workhorse. I cannot wait to start developing again, and this will basically then sit and listen for a new build to come in, which I did a video on, right, with the Ultimate 2 Plus, but this can do it also, and then push that binary in like, yo, start it up. So I'm really happy with this. Thank you, Gideon, and I hope you learned something, and maybe buy one of Gideon's products. I'm not sponsored, but I love these products. So see you in the next one.